following presentation is Smithsonian content and programming at your fingertips by Aviva Rosenthal. Aviva Rosenthal is a senior advisor in the Smithsonian Office of International Relations and Global Programs. She has more than 20 years of diverse experience in government, business, and nonprofit sector. Aviva manages a vast portfolio of strategic partnerships between the Smithsonian Institution and international governments, foundations, NGOs, and other organizations, as well as ongoing collaboration between the Smithsonian and various U.S. federal agencies, with a focus on the U.S. Department of State. Aviva has traveled to over 40 countries for work and has a focus on public diplomacy and people-to-people connections in her career. As a co-presenter, we have Lauren Appelbaum, and Lauren is an international program coordinator in the Office of International Relations and Global Programs at the Smithsonian Institution. She has worked extensively on the Smithsonian partnership with the U.S. Department of State on the American Spaces Assessment and Redesign project to enhance public diplomacy venues worldwide. Prior to joining the Smithsonian, Lauren worked at cultural institutions in the D.C. area, including National Trust for Historic Preservation, the Society of the Cincinnati, and International Arts and Artists Heritage Art Space. Her work has been focused on the care, preservation, and accessibility of museum collections for a wide range of audiences. Lauren received her BA from Emory University and her master's in museum studies from the George Washington University. And Lauren's first concert was the Backstreet Boys, and Aviva favorite movie is Star Wars. Welcome them, please.
I'm afraid. Okay, hold on.
Can everyone hear me in the back? Can you hear me? Yeah. All right, we'll do tag. That's fine. We'll just use this. Hi, sorry. All right, we're going to tag team. Hello. I'm Aviva. Hi. Welcome. So before we get started, how many of you have seen the Smithsonian presentation at the last ABLA or in any of the recent trainings? Okay, that's like half the room, which is great. So for those, we're trying to make this presentation relevant for those that haven't seen it and trying to go deeper and show new content for those that have. So bear with us if you've seen some of the resources. And we really want to make this interactive, so we are going to call on you because we know you, and we know who's been using these resources. So we are going to make you tell us how you're integrating some of these into your binational centers. So just to set the stage, we're from the Smithsonian's Office of International Relations, which is really your partner at the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian is huge. It's 20 different museums. We're really excited because in September, our brand new African American History and Culture Museum is going to open. It's very relevant for you guys. It tells the whole American story through the African American experience, which includes a lot on the slave trade, which passed through the Caribbean, Latin America, Brazil, many places. So there's a lot of stories and content that will come out of that museum opening in September, and President Obama is going to be opening that museum. We're going to live stream it. We have a whole kit of programs, so that's coming soon. But again, 20 museums, about 6,000 employees, and we are going to just touch on some of that content, but know that there's everything from air and space, natural history, our zoo, our National Portrait Gallery, and all of these make up the Smithsonian. So we're going to give you a little taste of what we have to offer, but raise your hand, ask questions while we're talking. We don't have to save it until the end. So with that,
thank you. So we have been working with
the State Department's Bureau of International Information Programs for the last few years now on the Model American Spaces project, and we provide support and resources in kind of 3 primary areas. So first, providing IIP with the means to improve and standardize the physical and programmatic environments, all in support of the 5 core programs in creating engaging environments for dynamic and active programming. So that's really the design portion of things. And then secondly, curating Smithsonian content and resources. So Aviva mentioned we have 20 museums, and with all of those museums comes a handful of websites and resources that are all accessible and free to use. So we've gone through and curated those down specifically for all American spaces and binational centers to support foreign policy priorities and monthly themes. And then we're also leading and supporting training sessions both regionally and digitally. So opportunities like this where we get to talk to you. We get to hear about what's going on, hear about your challenges, hear about your needs in terms of programming and topics and themes. That's kind of, I think, the best part about this. So just a quick snapshot of where we've been over the last 4 years. Starting back in 2012. I won't go and read everything from this slide to you, but it's just important to note that content has kind of been something that has been a constant throughout this partnership. You know, we work to identify this content, to develop the content, and then most importantly, we're continuing to update and refine our content and programmatic offerings. So we are still working on finding the latest and greatest Smithsonian content and bringing it to you and making it accessible to everyone. So with that, as we've now mentioned a couple of times, there are 20 museums, 9 research centers, many websites. In fact, the last count was somewhere over 850 websites that are available through the Smithsonian. So that's great. There's a lot of content there, right? Right? Okay. But it's also daunting, difficult to know where to start. Where do you begin with 850 websites? So these websites, just to, you know, they're anything from online exhibitions, photo galleries, images of art and artifacts and digital collections like Sheila was just talking about, lesson plans, videos, podcasts, all ranging on a variety of topics and trying to reach a variety of learning styles as well. So we have worked to curate that content into digestible, bite-sized portions for you, and we'll go into a little bit of that today.
All right. Anyone who has seen us before knows that we talk about where to find the content, because that's really the important part. I hope everyone here does use americanspaces.state.gov. I imagine everyone recognizes the dashboard. So as Lauren said, there's so many pieces of content at the Smithsonian, and you are welcome to go explore it. However, we've tried to do a lot of that homework for you, and we've put it all right here on the dashboard in the American Spaces tab. So we want to make sure everyone knows where to find it, and a little bit about what it is, because we've spent a lot of time working with IIP on the creation of this content and programming book. That might be new to some people from the last ABLA. This has been created in the last 2 years. It's a digital book, so we're going to show it to you, but you can actually click on it, and it is an interactive guide that takes you through different thematic chapters. So each chapter, U.S. history, presidents and democracy, equality, human rights and tolerance, American culture and diaspora, entrepreneurship and innovation, and education diplomacy. Those are the chapters. And we will be able to show you what you can get. So that's one main new item. It's clickable. You go into it and all the resources are described and you can click through. And that's just kind of what the pages look like. So that's new. But again, just as a reminder, we've taken all this content and we've already curated it for English language appropriateness level. Does it fit foreign policy priorities? For you, and is it themed around the kinds of programs we know you guys are always doing around each of the months? Are we doing something for Women's Empowerment Month, Black History Month, or around elections? So we've tried to take all that great content and put it in the sections that you're going to be looking for it to serve your purposes. So when we get to the web page, there's a lot of content, but remember to try to go into what is it you want. Are you looking for a specific theme, a topic, a holiday? And we've broken it down. We've also included content packages on some newer foreign policy priorities. So we have like an American family one on leadership, one on challenging material, religious tolerance, and other topics. So these are new from, if you haven't gone and seen the site in the last year or so, those are new areas. So we'll keep going. Oh, we're going to go to the website now.
So once you get from the American Spaces dashboard, there's the Smithsonian module that we clicked on. You'll be taken to a page that looks just like this. And most importantly, the things that we're going to be talking about today and more are found on the Content and Programming Resources tab of this page. So it's important to navigate there because that is the most up-to-date place to find all of these resources. So, Aviva.
Oh, so just to point out again, you've got your left-hand bar, which is the content sections, and you've got the thematic packages. And so those are around the left, and you've got the book on the top, and then you've got this middle section that we're going to focus on today. And that middle section, again, is constantly being updated, and we're going to talk about some new content that we just added. But we're going to look for more ways to market the content to you, but just know that things are being added here to this middle section. And as we go down, again, we've broken the content books out by theme. So just to show you, we're going to dive into one of the themes really quickly.
We'll just take a look at American culture and diaspora from the Content and Programming book. Who here is familiar with the Content and Programming book already? Raise your hand. Higher. Okay, that's it. So while this is loading, we can continue to talk about the Content and Programming book. This is a digital book, a digital resource. As Aviva mentioned, there are descriptions of each of the pieces of content. It's organized by 6 priority themes. So U.S. history, presidents and democracy being one, and then this one is American culture and diaspora. So just to walk you through, all of the chapters look exactly the same. So it starts off with the top 5. What are 5 really great resources about this priority topic or theme, and what are they about? So this provides you with that very quick snapshot, and you'll also see that there's the URL to lead you directly there. So you don't have to go back in and Google to find this website. We've put all of it in one place here.
Like this is an example to go up. We have a whole Latino center at the Smithsonian, so we've got their virtual gallery right there. There's just some great resources. I don't know how this is like this quickly. It's just something to go poke into, but let's go down.
And we'll just take you in. So we've organized this by type of resource. So for instance, activities and lesson plans. So this third one here is one that we'd like to point out. This is a resource available out of Smithsonian Education, and these are downloadable lesson plans in a variety of topics. So right here, you're looking at ones that pertain specifically to history and culture. That's okay. History and culture. So thinking about themes like Black History Month, or equality, women's empowerment, or democracy and voting. There are lesson plans specifically for those topics, and one that I think a really great feature of this is that not only is there just the lesson plan, but some of them are actually broken down into grade level or age level. So thinking about if you're targeting a specific audience, there are lesson plans that are written with that particular audience in mind. So for this particular one, this is asking students to examine a work of art, to talk about culture and the Latino experience. And so for the youngest ages here, so grades kindergarten through 2nd grade, they're talking more about the portraiture and making observations and what do they see, getting people talking and having conversations. And then as you move into it, it takes a deeper dive into broader themes. So, cultural experience and history and heritage, and what does that mean based on the history of a particular painter or famous.
Has anyone here used Smithsonian lesson plans and integrated them into the English language curriculum? You have? Have they worked for you? Anyone, or both of you? Yeah.
We love them. Our teachers love them. We integrate them into our syllabi so that it makes it easier for the teachers to access, because sometimes even this can seem a little overwhelming to a teacher who's doing planning. So we have templates for the different courses, and we incorporate the different activities, and they love the content. Students love the content, teachers love the content.
Is it easy? Is it easy to integrate? Good.
Very, very easy. We use a multi-platform, and it's extremely easy to integrate.
Great. There was someone else back there.
We use class in March to celebrate the mom in her shoes. We have got shoes of different women. We post posters in the entrance of the library according to the before, 2 days before, in the library, and guess
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. All right, so now we're going to go back to the main site. All right, so now we're going to go into Entrepreneur Incubator. A lot of you are interested in this. Some of you have been using this, and we just want to say, because we're going to go quickly through our content, tomorrow's session is going to be a very deep dive into Entrepreneur Incubator. We know a lot of people want to learn more about this, so we're going to spend a lot more time in our session tomorrow, but we'll go over it quickly.
So Entrepreneur Incubator is a complete facilitator guide, a curriculum that we developed specifically for American Spaces and binational centers included, and focuses on topics of entrepreneurship and thinking about starting a business. What are important characteristics and skills that someone might need to pursue a business idea or to pursue an academic program? So thinking about interview skills, thinking about resume writing, talking about what interests you, what are your ambitions. So understanding that many spaces are already doing programming just like this. And there's a great interest in entrepreneurship and the startup community. So we thought that we would put everything together and in an effort to not reinvent the wheel, put together this complete curriculum for you to use. Again, it's free, it's downloadable. We've made it available in PDF and Word, which you can see here. So that way, if you need to make any edits or adjustments to the Word document, you can do that to modify it to your particular audience, to scale it to a particular English language level. There are other materials here that the PowerPoint goes with one of the lesson plans, and then there's some copyright information. Yes, just to kind of show you what it is, again, we won't go into too much detail here because we will be talking about this more at a session tomorrow. But this is kind of, believe it or not, this is a sort of roadmap of the curriculum. So you'll see here, this is called the business board. There are five different colors in this board here. So drive, development, community, marketing, and operations. And so within each of those large themes, there are 3 separate lesson plans. So this is a really great way to, if you just wanted to run curriculum or workshops from Drive, you could do that. If you wanted to run a couple of these and maybe introduce serial programming, bringing people back into your space to come back for the next session, and then the one after that to follow up on what they learned or what they started the previous week. This provides you with that opportunity. So inside the packet, at the beginning of each of these content pyramids right here, there's a sheet that looks just like this. And this is a worksheet. It can be printed out. It can be handed to participants so they can kind of follow along with where they are in the curriculum. But really, this serves as a guide for facilitators. So facilitators are constantly trying to come up with new and innovative and engaging programs, and they don't often have a lot of time to really think and search and research and put things together. So this provides a very quick summary of what each of the lesson plans are in this particular pyramid. So here it's broken, as you can see, into motivation, communication, and negotiation. And then just after that, this is what the lesson plan looks like. All of the lesson plans look exactly the same to make it really easy to follow. There's a lot of detail provided in here, but just to give you a very quick breakdown, we called out the time needed. How much time is this going to take? What skills are featured in this particular session or workshop? So anything from critical thinking to resume writing or public speaking. Those are some of the skills. What types of technology do you need, and what other materials would you need to run this program? The great part about Entrepreneur Incubator curriculum is that it can be run with or without technology, and so it's scalable in that sense. There's also another quick project snapshot, so what's going to take place, and then when you move into the actual lesson plan here, this is a step-by-step lesson plan. So there's vocabulary to help promote English language learning and comprehension, and the activity overview, and then the step-by-step instructions. So for this particular one, this is a resume writing workshop. There are very detailed instructions. You do not have to have a business background to run this curriculum. And this is also a really great, we encourage you to hand this out to partners, local business owners or entrepreneurs or economists, and invite them into your space to run a particular program using this curriculum.
Yeah, we just heard from a couple spaces that you guys partner with a startup. You're doing a startup weekend. You're partnering with local entrepreneurs. You're partnering with a co-working space. This is a great facilitator guide. If you need a facilitator, this is a great kind of partnership guide to hand to someone. Which as Lauren said, we developed this where you do not need any business background. It is extremely straightforward and easy to understand. A lot of you who saw us at some of our trainings know we just dive right in and we do a mock training as if we were the facilitators, and it's quite simple, but it's a great way to develop relationships with young entrepreneurs and ask them to participate as the facilitators. Another thing, and we'll go into this more tomorrow, we've heard that spaces have run this whole program over a 9-month period where they got people to sign up and come back again and again and do the whole thing over 9 months. We've heard of people doing this as a 1-day workshop where they take 3 or 4 of the lesson plans. So I think some of you, maybe, is there anyone here who's actually done Entrepreneur Incubator in their space? Dan, I know. Well, can you tell us just really quickly how you use this resource in your space?
We used last year during the summer camp, 5-day. Can you hear me? Okay, we used part of it and we adapted from it last year during the summer camp. It was a 5-day program for youth, and they had to create their own businesses. So it was simple and fun, and we combined with some elements of the behavior movement. Everything, the adaptation and how we use logistics and everything is on the website, and Cousin Majeston would be very happy to share.
Thank you.
Yeah, Casa Thomas Jefferson, if we can put in a plug for them, as you all know, have put up these amazing resources on their wiki and on their site, and it's been amazing. All right. Oh, okay, so we're going to move on. New topic. Poster shows or exhibitions, whatever you'd like to call them. This is new because we've talked about them, but we finally have them up on the site. If you click on here, and this is always being updated, we've been able to go and look for free, copyright-free, everything already available and done, Smithsonian downloadable poster shows. So this is more of a document that shows you what's available now and where to get to it. When you click on one of them, Typically, they come with educator guides and teacher resources. They might even have vocabulary. They have ancillary resources to use around the poster show. And you can print them out on any kind of material and do what you'd like to display them, to use them in a program. Or, working with our office, you can reach out to us and say, we want to create a whole exhibition out of one of these. Do you have a curator, a researcher, someone from the Smithsonian who we can use as a speaker to come out and make this a big deal? So we, in New Delhi last year, or maybe the year before, they used one of our downloadable poster shows. They put it up in 5 of their spaces. They brought the curator to India for 2 weeks and did press and lectures and working with students and had her go around the country for 5 weeks, very successful. And it cost them all, for the travel and everything, like, $10,000 for 2 weeks worth of programming and big events at all their spaces. So we're constantly looking for Smithsonian poster shows that are, again, no copyright, where everything's been taken care of and they're free for you to use. Death of History is a new one. It's about cultural recovery and what's going on in Syria and Iraq. But there's one there's a couple coming. Choosing to Participate is another one that I think some of you have used, that sort of touch on tolerance, issues like bullying and racism. And that is a wonderful poster show that we've seen a lot of spaces use effectively for discussion.
And in fact, so we actually heard from a space in Bosnia and Herzegovina who told us that they used Choosing to Participate to host a program. So they printed out the posters, they displayed them in their space, and then they talked about the different themes that are presented in here. So for this, it's, there were the racial, there was segregation and intolerance and diversity that was highlighted through an American history lens. And they took all of that material and they related it to local events and the local community in Bosnia and Herzegovina, because issues of diversity and bullying and equality are things that are very important to them as well. So they were able to have a conversation, and then at the end of the program, they asked participants to create their own posters with positive messaging. Again, thinking about ways to adapt these poster shows and any of these resources to make them more locally relevant and applicable to you.
So this is where we're going to constantly be updating, but this one is coming. It's just not ready yet. This is at the American Indian Museum. There's a major Inca Roads exhibition going on. They are working on a downloadable 20 poster panel version of it right now, which will be in English and in Spanish. So when this is ready, this is going to be added to that site. We'll probably work with WHA2 to market it to you to make sure you know it's available. But that's one where we have current curators and researchers on staff who can come and participate in programs alongside this particular resource. There's another one coming that I just learned about from the National Portrait Gallery, where they just put up a portrait of Dolores Huerta, and they're doing a poster show about this as well. So these are the kinds of resources where we know are coming, and they'll be added to the site as soon as they're ready.
Another new resource that we have available on the website is this SparkLab Facilitator Guide. So SparkLab is a hands-on makerspace. It's a center based out of the Center for Innovation at the National Museum of American History at the Smithsonian. So what you really need to remember from that is that it's a hands-on makerspace focused on incorporating low-tech materials, kind of found objects, everyday supplies. So think about paper clips and cups and recyclable materials that can be incorporated into hands-on and maker programming. So we worked very closely with SparkLab to develop this facilitator guide, thinking about the language and what's most important to a facilitator when they're running this. Working with individuals, working with groups, and as someone who has no background maybe in innovation or invention, you too can also lead a program using this curriculum. So
can I just add to just this curriculum, because a lot of people talk about makerspaces, and I know you guys spend a lot of time on that. This is a type of makerspace, but this is very low tech. There's no 3D printing coming out of this. This is really about engineering, about kids' imagination on inventing. It is about basic scientific principles. So think of Spark Lab as kind of an engineering science version of a makerspace, and then there's sort of the digital skills of more of a high-tech prototyping makerspace. They're two very different things.
So what you'll find in the facilitator guide, there are 5 different activities that are identified here. So there's an activity overview. There's also the facilitation level. So how much involvement and hands-on time will the facilitator need to have or expect? Also a recommended activity length, recommended supplies. So again, this is kind of open-ended and low cost, low tech. So you know, this would be really great hosting a program using Spark Lab maybe after a river cleanup and talking about conservation and the environment, and bringing in plastics and other recyclable materials and then repurposing them into an invention or an innovation. Also, the outcomes are included in here, just outlined for the facilitator, and then there are also facilitation and ideas and tips. So again, because this is about invention and innovation, it's really important to know that this is about process-driven learning. So trial and error, which is something that not everyone feels really comfortable with, right? It's either success or failure. So this takes that and kind of turns it on its head and says that it's not that you've either gotten it completely right or wrong, it's how can you improve this? Thinking like a real inventor who are, inventors are continually looking to see how they can improve their invention or improve their technology to make things easier, to make things better, to make things faster. So that's kind of, that's the ethos behind this, this facilitator guide.
Do you guys have questions? This one's new. Questions or thoughts about this? We're not going deep into what the activities are, but any questions here? Or from anything we've talked about?
We can talk a little bit more about the activities if that's, no, we're good? Okay.
Oh, there's one.
Oh,
Are you going to give in your slides so that we can have a copy?
Yes.
yes, yes.
We see people taking notes of these, which is great, and taking photos, but you will have all these slides, absolutely.
All right.
All right, let's go back.
The website or?
Yeah, let's go back to the website for a sec. So one of our new resources that you have not seen are called civil society certifications. We can go back to sad connection, very sad face connection. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So what these are relevant for lots of spaces, but especially ones that have a focus on some of these digital skills. So this one emanates out of our Hirshhorn Museum, which is our contemporary art museum on the mall. And they have an after-school program called Art Lab Plus, which is meant to really teach and train young people, high school, maybe college-age students, on really relevant digital skills for today's sort of business market. So it's everything from sound editing, film editing, photography, app making, game making, prototyping, 3D printing. So it's a lot of digital skills. So what we decided to do is adapt some of those certifications, is what we're calling them, because these are skills, and create 3 different workshops that you guys can look at as individuals, or workshops that lead into sort of the 3rd module, which is creation of a digital campaign. We all know that young people have their phones. That's really all you need in today's world. But this program will do 2 things. It'll really teach people some digital skills that they do need to know about composition, about how you really use photography to create that emotional, as Sheila was talking about, how you create that emotional connection with people to tell a story about what you're trying to say about your community, the change you want to make, and use examples of how photography has really changed movements over time. And then the video does the same thing, teaching people about actually how to edit video, how to use all their camera in a way to tell that kind of civil society narrative using a lot of great examples. So this one, though, is, again, simple to use and project-based. You can do it as different modules. but it's also great lead-up programming to things you're already doing. You could turn it into a digital campaign about Earth Day. So it could really have just an environmental theme. You could do it again about World Press Freedom Day, Human Rights Day. So looking at these modules as either standalones or to theme them as part of creating content. So having people create digital campaigns on the theme of Earth Day. So when Earth Day comes, you have all this work that you can present to the community.
So the way that the workshops are kind of set up is to get people familiar with campaigns, with digital campaigns. What is a campaign, right? And thinking about the power of photography and image and video to really promote awareness of a message or a particular issue that's going on locally or globally. So these are two examples of campaigns, real life campaigns actually. One of them, the one on the right, is UN Women, so a branch of the UN that focuses on women's empowerment and rights. And so you can't really read it here, but what's included in it mimics a Google search. And so it says women need to, and then all of the blanks that are filled in are real search terms. And it says be put in their place, know their place, be controlled, and be disciplined, I think is the last one. And then underneath it, it says women need to be seen as equal. So very, very powerful messages with just a few words really and a powerful image. And then the image on the left is another real life example that focuses on accessibility. So these stairs obviously aren't accessible to everyone, and it says for some it's Mount Everest. So really promoting awareness and what is a digital campaign? So that's very important to this curriculum. From there, we then take real photo examples. We picked many from US history and digital collections that can then get people talking. What do you see in this photo? What's going on? What is this historic moment or event that this photo is documenting? And why is this photo maybe powerful? What's the message here? And so relating it to real moments in history, and then also opening it up so that it can be maybe locally relevant to you. So introducing photos that are important to your local history or local culture to get people talking and understanding what it is that they're going to be asked to do. And then as Aviva said, there's a focus on the technical skills. So even with just a little cell phone in your pocket, there are really great photo and video capabilities there. So talking about backlighting and orientation or shallow focus to get people to understand what are the different photo techniques, what can I be thinking about to really make this photo pop and to make a connection, that emotional connection with someone else. So all of that is included in this facilitator guide. All of the worksheets and handouts that you might need to run this program are all included in this guide. And we've, again, just like Entrepreneur Incubator, made it available in PDF and Word, so that if you need to modify, edit, if you want to change and add your own images here, you can do that. We want it to be tailored and useful to you.
So this is new, so I'm going to ask you guys a question, having seen this and knowing your audience. Is this something relevant to your audience, or are there ways that you guys already are thinking about how you would use a tool like this? Yeah? Like what would be some way that you think maybe you could adapt that into a program in your space?
I was thinking that we could use with our access students. Yeah.
So access students.
I don't secure it now, but not to me.
That's great, because they all probably, that's the thing, we try to keep the technology really about your phone or a simple mobile device, that it wasn't, and all the tools that we talk about are apps or they're free and available. So I think access students would be a good one. Any other thoughts about how one can integrate this into their programming?
This would give an idea which we print some of the posters and put in classrooms and invite students to come to the resource center, library, makerspace. So you
does, this gives you the sort of the end of the module really has you sort of doing that, and then you could use them, as you say, as your own sort of student-run art show or way for people to see the work.
Yeah. But I think we could enhance that by having those, the photographers to conduct poster sessions, so they would be themselves the ones who would tell the visitors the purpose, the intention, why they took the picture, and how their experiences were.
It also is a great excuse to reach out to photographers or videographers or people who digital marketers in your community and then invite them in to do a lecture. But now you've got a group of students who've done this themselves, can ask questions, and it just makes for an easy way to, why would someone want to come and spend an hour when they're going to be able to talk about their work as it relates to what the students have done. All right, we're going to keep going. There's more. All right, so we'll see if the internet's working. Okay, good. I think we've shown you guys this before. This is the video portal. So who here has ever have accessed this and used these videos? Has anyone used videos from seeing this before? No. Carol. So what this is, we think, is a treasure trove of videos that are from the Smithsonian. So again, they're not hosted on YouTube. This is a Smithsonian site that we created for binational centers in American spaces that takes short-form videos that have already been created, put them in the relevant topics: entrepreneurship, education, environment and STEM, and civil society. We also update them over time. But what these videos are, we've made sure that they're all closed captioned, so they all have the English language along the bottom. However, I'm going to just warn you, they just changed the media player on this site, which we found out by prepping for this. And so what's clear is the closed captioning isn't working properly. So that is currently literally being fixed as we speak, but it's because of the media player. But they all have closed captioning. They all are downloadable too. So if Wi-Fi is a problem, you can download them onto a thumb drive, carry them around, give them to other people. And they come with their own set of conversation club questions. So the point of these videos is not just here's some videos, it's here's a pre-packaged program to do English language conversation clubs, to use at the beginning, just as Sheila was saying, as a way to get people inspired before a program, a way to use it in your classroom for access students. So it's topical. You have the subtitle, the closed captioning. You already have conversation club questions already done for you that you can use or adapt. And we've given you the questions in a PDF or a document so that you can change the language or do what you want with them. So we want to make these videos in a way. Let's take the environment ones. There's enough where if you wanted to do, Earth Day month, once a week, you can show a video about the environment and have a conversation club question. So this site is meant to be, yes, you can use a video any which way you want, but also utilize it as a month-long series of programs or more on these topics, and people can watch the videos a couple times, learn vocabulary, and have a conversation about them. So some people have seen some of these. We'll just show you one in particular that we think is relevant to people who are working with maker spaces, with entrepreneurs, with young women's empowerment, and we'll give you a sense of what these are.
I founded Black Girls Code in April 2011, and I was really driven as a mother who is an engineer herself. And I was looking for a summer camp or program to get my daughter interested in technology. When I did find a program, there weren't many girls in the program and very few people of color. And I wanted to change that. One of my favorite phrases is code or be coded. If we don't, as a community of color, take a step towards becoming the ones that write the code, then we are relegating ourselves to being perpetual consumers and just regurgitating that code that's been given to us. The thing that really excites me the most is seeing the light bulb go off in terms of this is something that I built. that shows them that not only can they become a software engineer, if that's what they so choose, but they can do whatever they set their mind to. And that's what our program is all about.
I think I would consider being an engineer or a part of technology as a career because it's just really fun to me. It's all new, and I think there's a lot that I can learn from it.
Here with coding, like no idea is really stupid. It can all play a part sometime. Doing coding feels like you could just put anything that's in your head and make a big idea that anyone can use.
This is not just a path that I had started because it was the right thing to do. These girls were me, 30, 40 years ago. And now to be able to touch these girls like my daughter and other daughters, that gives me a sense of accomplishment that I never got with anything else before.
So one question we always ask is, like, what foreign policy themes or what themes do you see in this video that you could translate into a program? How would it be relevant for you? What kind of themes are embedded in here? Yeah?
Can I use one of the conversation questions to show you, to give you an example of the conversation questions that Aviva talked about before? One of the questions here says, if you were going to start an organization to help youth in your community, what would it be and why? What issues would you hope to address, or what problems would you hope to help solve? So it's thinking about what you heard, what you saw in the video, what you may have been introduced to for the first time, and thinking about how personally it affects you, how it impacts you, or what action you might want to take now after having seen this video. So with that, I would just say some of the issues that we try to address here is there's videos about a guy that has created a 3D prosthetic limb, or people doing a moonshot, to Mars. So there's all these different topics on science and civil society, legal crusaders, lots of different themed and foreign policy relevant topics. But then, as Lauren just said, trying to take what you're seeing and then take pieces of it and be able to have a conversation. So do people think this seems relevant to them for their spaces and English language learning? Yes? So what foreign policy goals did you hear in this video, or what little strands could you pull out from here? Entrepreneurship.
Gender equality.
Gender equality.
Human rights. Technology. Human rights.
Human rights. I'm sorry. Creativeness. Okay. And how about women's empowerment? Girls empowerment as well. Diversity, minorities. So there's a lot in this very, very short video. There are a number of themes that could really be highlighted here. And then, so how would you, so I know Aviva kind of mentioned a couple of ways that you could use a video in a program, but how would you maybe incorporate this video into programming, into a larger program? I know I'm putting you on the spot right now.
We know you can answer.
Yes.
I think it would be fun to do with an access group, for example. And, the gender equality is something that is difficult to address with this particular group. And this kind of will get the conversation going.
There's one that I like, and for access especially, there's one that I like that we didn't show you, but it's about this guy Palmer Luckey who created Oculus Rift, the VR, the virtual reality goggles.
Yes, we've done that.
Yeah, so that one's great because for young kids, it's this guy who looks like he's like practically 21 years old. And he is the guy that created the virtual reality glasses and then sold his company for $6 billion to Facebook. And any young person will be like, I want to be that guy, and what do I need to know? And he talks about tinkering in his garage and how, using his own creative process and how failure is part of the process. So it's a great video for access students. All right, well, we're at the end. We didn't even get to half of what is still on that website. but we want to stop here. Are there questions, thoughts, what you want to know more of that we can maybe integrate in tomorrow's session? Go back to the site. Was there a question? No? Questions? No? All right, well, thank you guys. We look forward to always hearing how you guys are using these resources in your spaces and being able to share them with the rest of you. Thank you very much.
Okay. On behalf of Aviva, thank you very much for your